Hello, welcome back to The Alcohol Experiment by Anne Grace. Read to you by me, Melissa O'Malley. Today is day 26, and the chapter is titled Liberation versus Fixation. And we always start with a quote. This one is by T.F. Hodge. It says, "Freedom is realizing you have a choice." Sometimes it's hard to tell when alcohol is actually running the show. We tend to rationalize and feel like we're drinking in moderation when in fact we're no longer in control of our actions. So I came up with a scale called liberation versus fixation to help me figure out whether I was in control. Liberation is when I can take the substance or leave it. I'm in control and I will have a great time whether I choose to drink. Fixation is when the cravings and addiction have taken hold and I'm losing my power over my own choices. Here are the clues that can help you decide where you are in terms of moderation. One of the most painful things for us as humans is to feel powerless. Ironically, we give away our power to alcohol without even realizing it is happening. Today's ideas will help you recognize where you are inadvertently giving up your power to booze so that you can consciously decide to take it back. Liberation is being offered a beer and truly feeling like you could take it or leave it. Fixation is wanting and waiting to be offered a beer. It's walking into a party and wondering when someone will offer you a beer. Liberation involves no internal dialogue. There's no other voice in your head arguing with you. Fixation is talking with yourself about whether you should have a drink, if you will feel bad in the morning. There's nonstop chatter about the substance. That chatter focuses your mind on the drink, making you want the substance even more. Liberation means you can have one drink and not give it another thought. You're perfectly content. Fixation means you're thinking about your next drink often before the one in your hand is even finished. Liberation does not come with a jonesing for the substance after it leaves your system. Fixation often means withdrawal symptoms and cravings begin as soon as the substance begins to fade away. Someone who can handle themselves around chocolate can have just a bite, but someone addicted to chocolate has to finish the whole bar that's in front of them and then strategizes how to get more. Liberation puts focus on the people and the environment. There's little or no focus on the substance. Fixation puts the focus on the drink, not the party, even if that focus is how not to drink. Liberation lets you be around the substance without a problem. Fixation means you can't have it in the house without temptation. Liberation is rational. You can decide not to have a drink because you have to get up early in the morning. Fixation is irrational. Even though you have that early meeting, you still want to drink. None of these ideas are universally true for every person. They are simply guidelines to give you perspective as to where you truly are in terms of moderation. If you find yourself fixating on alcohol and having internal conversations about it, then you're probably heading down that slippery slope and might want to be extra careful. Today, define what moderation means to you. If you're aiming to be moderate in your drinking going forward, it's important to decide exactly what that means. Does it mean 2 drinks a week or 2 drinks a month? 1 drink every other weekend? Keep going and determine how you want to feel as you moderate. How much of a hangover is too much? Is it okay if you have a slight headache, but not okay if you're puking? If you don't define what moderate means, you won't have any way of knowing when you've gone too far. In reality, you're going to want to define this as you go. Before you go to that party, decide you're going to have 1 drink and then stop. Before you head to that networking event, decide you're going to drink ginger ale instead of alcohol. And if you're going to drink whatever you want and not feel guilty about it, fine. But make that decision before you start drinking and stick to the not feeling guilty part. Day 26 journal questions. Remember, all the wisdom you seek is actually inside you. The most important words in this experiment are the ones you tell yourself. Take some time and answer these questions here in a journal, a voice memo to yourself, or simply by speaking the words out loud for only you to hear. 1. Liberation versus fixation. Consider the day's teaching in your own life and write honestly about what your relationship with alcohol was before this experiment. Were you truly liberated in your choices, or were you fixated on alcohol to a point where your choices did not feel entirely like your own? 2. your future. Based on the idea of liberation versus fixation, brainstorm at least 3 instances in your future that you will use as guideposts to determine if you are truly liberated or if you are fixated on drinking. Feel free to use examples from the chapter, and if you come up with more than 3, that's even better. And remember, you don't necessarily have to be drinking to be fixated on alcohol. I've known sober people who are still, years later, fixated on alcohol. The goal here is to become hyper aware of when and where you are fixated so that you can do the mental work, employ the ACT technique to liberate yourself from your fixated drinking. That's day 26. Tomorrow is day 27. And the chapter is called, Is Alcohol Really Poisonous and Addictive? So I will see you then. Take good care. Bye. Proud of you.